First and foremost, before I start this video, I'd like to apologize for any fan noise you might hear in the background. It's like 9,000 degrees where I live right now, and I don't have AC in my house, and this is the only thing keeping me breathing and alive, so hopefully you guys can deal with it. Anyways, let's get to the video. As a young child, nothing interested me more than doorways. I don't know what it was, maybe autism, but ideas like a portal gun or a door to another dimension were like my favorite thing to watch on YouTube. Even those super amateur portal gun in real life videos. Get in there! Those were something that I was watching like it was fucking life support. Coming back to these videos now is like returning to an old house, and each time you enter a room you get a wave of nostalgia and memories of that room. But there was this one show that I completely forgot about. One that almost made me cry seeing it appear in my recommended due to nostalgia. The show was called The Upside Down Show, and oh my god, there is no better way to put this show's concept than upside down. This show is so off the walls and ahead of its time, it's actually insane. There's even a scene where they call a sock Lefty. Isn't that funny? It's like FNAF.
My name is Lefty.
Thanks, Lefty.
The Upside Down Show is one of those shows that nobody remembered because it was on some obscure TV channel that you only had access to because your parents bought off-brand cable. Kind of like CBs. Oh my god, I have to make a video on CBs. Do you guys remember Grandpa in My Pocket? Okay, enough talk about the other shows. Let's get on to the Upside Down Show. The show's two main characters are named Shane and David. These two men are like the Statue of Liberty in my brain, like those towers from Inside Out. My weird fixation on doors and hallways, plus my, elite sense of humor. There's literally no point in the show where Shane needs to be doing this. The episodes would always start with Shane and David doing some bit in a literal white void. What is this, Gmod? They would put on basically these mime shows, but they would be talking, so I don't know if I could call it a mime performance. They show you how to use this remote, but there is no remote because it's supposed to be imaginary, which is honestly such a great concept for children watching, but it's also a great way to cut down on prop costs, because obviously the entire show's budget went into the editing. I mean, just look at this laundromat. Basically, the intro would just have the viewer learn how to use the remote, and then they would just let the viewer bully Shane and David for a few minutes before cutting to the hardest TV show intro I have ever seen in my entire life. I need to show you this.
Down upside! Sorry. The Upside Down Show!
After the intro, most children, including me, were immediately disappointed when we realized we couldn't use the stumble button on our remotes to make them fall at any point in the show. Going back to the humor in this show, it felt so ahead of its time. Like, there are multiple bits that feel like something I would see Tom Ska make or an ASDF movie joke. I think the reason I have the humor I do now is because of shows like this that constantly played with jokes that had actual structure to them, not like something I would see on Cartoon Network playing for like 90% of their daily schedule, consisting of overused potty jokes and the occasional heartfelt moment.
You just want me to poop in a suitcase?
But the Upside Down Show is just, aw man, this thing is an issue. Well, let's fix it. And then they just fill the rest of the time by basically jumping through dimensions, which are, you guessed it, doors. Yep, this show specifically catered towards my super obscure fixation, and it in fact fueled it so much that I consider the Portal franchise to be my favorite franchise of all time.
Fatty, no parent.
If I keep talking about how nostalgic this show is to me, we would be sitting here for literal hours, so let's just jump into talking about my favorite episode, or at least the one I remember the most, which is episode 12, Ice Cream Truck. Not only did I love doors, but I was around the age of 6 or 8, so I also really liked ice cream trucks, so this episode was like a gold mine for me. The episode starts like any other, where we have Shane and David showing you how to use the remote, and in return, Shane makes a funny face. And then you attempt to murder both of them by dropping a few tons of weight on Shane. After that, you have the intro, which again, goes so hard. It then cuts to a scene where Shane and David are reading to each other, but what is that? An ice cream! Well, obviously David had no idea and gets scared by the ice cream. How do you get scared by ice cream? Maybe David had loud ice cream, who knows? They both think of the most outlandish response to having ice cream appear in their hands, like maybe it fell out of the ceiling, or it grew from your hair. But then we find out Shane also has an ice cream. Oh my gosh, guys, I think I know what this episode is about! Shane finds out in the same way that David does. The ice cream fucking scares him. They then try to find out what these things are, which is one of my favorite bits in this episode. Seeing two grown adults trying to test if an ice cream cone works as a hearing device just brings me back to the Smosh days when Food Battle was in its peak. After these two goobers spend a few more seconds goofing off with the ice cream cones, we get some dialogue from Puppet. Yeah, his name is Puppet, and I fucking love him. Puppet is one of the best characters in this show. He's like a parent to Shane and David, and he's constantly keeping them entertained. Not to mention, he isn't even a recognizable species. He's literally a sock with googly eyes and some hair. Puppet has to spend some time getting Shane and David to cooperate while they use the cones as noses, to then tell them that they are not noses and they are for some delicious ice cream. Who would have known? Well, apparently not Shane and David, because they literally don't even know what ice cream is.
What's ice cream?
Maybe now looking back at Puppet, he might actually be a bad person, because if we take into consideration that Puppet is their parent/guardian, and that means that Shane and David must be so sheltered that they have never seen what is probably the most popular dessert ever. Maybe Puppet is a bad guy. Oh my gosh, it's all coming together, guys. We need to cancel Puppet right now. Let's tweet about this. So Puppet tells Shane and David how good ice cream is, and that makes them really want some. So they embark on a journey to go get some ice cream, not before running into a fucking pig. Where the hell did that come from?
Who left the pig in front of the door?
After opening up the door, Puppet comes through with some ice cream, and then tells Shane and David that they need to hurry up. Wait, Puppet didn't buy them any? Okay, maybe he is the bad guy. I take back what I said. Not getting ice cream for your best buds is a sin that cannot be forgiven, pal. Shane and David miss the ice cream truck because Puppet is a meanie poo-poo pants head, and now they have to get it themselves by using the millions of doors they have around their house. So they decide to go to their frozen room, which of course would have
Penguins!
I was thinking ice cream.
I'm completely siding with Shane on this one. Penguins are fucking cool. So they have all these doors in their house, and the door to the frozen room should be in, like, their freezer, right? Yeah, no, it's in their fucking couch. As a kid, having a secret room inside of a couch was like the coolest thing to me. And eventually my parents got me this couch that had storage space under it, so my adolescent brain immediately went to the idea of turning it into the Ice King's lair, just like Shane and David did. No, unfortunately we just used that space to store like Nerf guns, and then I made a fake video under a channel of mine called Colin Gaming, where I act like I found these Nerf guns on my own.
Holy crap! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Alright, back to the episode. Shane and David find a skater holding some ice cream in her hand, but she's frozen in place, so they have to use a defroster to unfreeze her. Not after they try to steal her ice cream by jumping at it like a FNAF animatronic. They then realize they don't have electricity for the defroster, so then they just ask you to use the unfreeze button on your remote. This joke made me laugh so much harder than it should have, which is also due to the fact that Shane claims that using the unfreeze button would be a waste of time before pulling out a whole-ass defroster. They defrost the skater, and before they can ask where she got the ice cream, she skates away. How mean is that? So now they've left the frozen room, and they notice that Fido the Fly has somehow got his grubby little hands on a milkshake. Alright, here's more lore for you guys. Fido the Fly is a microscopic fly that lives in this little door that is apparently a portal to the back rooms. I mean, look at that wallpaper. They ask Fido where he got his milkshake from, but can't understand what he is saying since he is a fly. The best part about Fido's character is that Fido is just Shane, and you can literally see him voice acting Fido between sentences.
Chill out! He's saying...
So somehow Shane is able to decode what this fly is saying, and they go to another door. But this time they are stopped by a fucking hippo. Where are they getting all of these animals?
Who left a hippopotamus in front of the door?
So this hippo's name is Helen, and then they spend like a full minute trying to move her. The next room they go to is called the This Way room, where you can only go one way. And after they find this out, Shane delivers a line that made me almost collapse with laughter, and I don't even know why. Just watch this.
Well, you know what they say.
If in doubt, try the other nostril.
After that, they bump into Mrs. Foyle, and oh my god, I never mentioned Miss Foyle. Apparently Miss Foyle is like a reoccurring character that basically appears in every room, kind of like Larry from Gumball, but this was before Gumball. So Larry is actually a copy of Miss Foyle. Oh my god, this is insane lore. Hashtag not my Mrs. Foyle. Basically, Mrs. Foyle tells them that the ice cream truck is the opposite direction of the arrows, which is a little bit of an issue because Shane and David can't go that way. What the heck? David doesn't want to believe this and actually goes insane and starts ramming his entire body into the wall like that one Blur music video. I'm starting to think that this ice cream truck is some kind of SCP that invades the minds of people who see it and causes them to run into fucking walls. After this, they find an ice cream bucket in their living room, which are actually filled with schmuzzies. That sounds like some kind of slur. Schmuzzies can only talk in some weird language like Pig Latin, and this conflict also helps deliver another amazing line from Shane.
What are you doing in the ice cream?
Oh, sneaking!
My uncle is not a giraffe.
They then kill all the schmuzzies to get the ice cream, which made me mad because those schmuzzies didn't know any better. They were just enjoying some ice cream, and you launched them out of the container. Not to mention, there wasn't even any ice cream in there at the end. You know what? Maybe I am on Puppet's side. These guys are assholes. The next room they go to is an ice cream game show where they need to pick the correct utensil for scooping ice cream. What universe is this where people are willingly paying to go to a game show for scooping ice cream? Another great bit is when Mrs. Foyle is introducing introducing the contestants and keeps interrupting Shane mid-sentence.
Did you have a good weekend, Shane?
Yeah.
And what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Favorite flavor is-
But are you wearing your favorite socks? That's what I really want to know.
Well,
Shane then takes a crack at scooping ice cream with fucking chopsticks. Of course this does not work and Shane loses, so now it's David's turn. The same interrupting bit happens and it doesn't get old. That bit is so funny to me. David then tries to use the whisk to pick up ice cream, and of course it fails too, just like Shane. But then the next contestant is a girl named Matilda, who obviously wouldn't know the correct answer. She's like 6 years old and... oh... look at that, she picked the right one. The best part is after Matilda scoops her ice cream, they do this stupid instant replay joke that was so funny, because now it's like 100% confirmed that this universe views ice cream scooping as a sport on the same tier as like football. We then get to press the woo button on our remote that brings us to this brilliant scene.
Could you press the fast forward button, please?
And then they see the schmuzzies again! The schmuzzies tell them where to find ice cream and they need to move this really heavy, deep-voiced creature that seems like the most dangerous animal to ever exist. To then find out it was actually a caterpillar holding a dumbbell, because that makes a ton of sense, right? They then find the ice cream truck and try to lick the picture of ice cream on the truck. And then just start disrupting this poor group of children who actually look pissed that these two men are acting like children. Just look at this girl's face! So then Shane and David get their ice cream, go back to the house, and sing to the viewers before signing off. What an episode! Since this script is already long and I'm too lazy to write more, I'm just going to talk about that one episode, which I probably would have done anyways because I would totally recommend watching this show if you haven't already. It caters to almost all people and it's super fun, not to mention some of the jokes in here are structured so well and the imaginary part of everything is so interesting. Since no show around this time was doing stuff like that, if you want episode recommendations, I would say Art Museum is a good one and Movies goes hard too. One of the reoccurring jokes in this series I haven't mentioned yet is action fingers, which is basically where Shane and David will use their fingers as characters. Looking back as almost an adult now, this show obviously had a tight budget, and the way that they battle that is so unique and fun. I seriously think this show should go down in the history books. I also feel like Shane and David are just the most likable people ever. I honestly think they should go in those men that I would feel safe around lists. Not to mention they are the most American looking British people I've ever seen in my life. Also, my fixation on doors and portals would never be as strong as it was if this show never existed. And I know that sounds weird as hell to be thanking someone over, but the amount of fun I had watching this show as a child was unlike anything else, and I don't think there will ever be a show just like it. And they're still basically keeping the show alive by doing stand-up comedy under the name Umbilical Brothers that take the same jokes. I'd recommend seeking some of their sets out, they're really good. Anyways, in conclusion, the Upside Down show should never be forgotten, and I will make sure of it. That's it for the video, see you guys later, goodbye.